Newcastle City, and I've got some of the guys here from some of my team, the worship team here, that worked on the album Strongest Place, and we wanted to kind of debrief the whole album and have a conversation and include you in on it so you can feel the heart and you feel like you're a part of this discussion. The heart of it, you know what, it kind of goes back a couple of years. In 2010, I really felt from God in a moment of prayer that we were to create a sound that would be a greenhouse for like generations to grow up in and feel that they can create and dream. They don't just have to replicate, but that they can step out and launch out and do something. So kind of years later, as our relationships built and the team built, and we kind of felt that it was in a place of strength, God gifted us melodies, really, and songs, and just step by step with each other, we just let it grow. And sometimes, well, most of the time, really, we were a little bit unsure of what to do, but we just kept doing it. And now some really beautiful things have happened, and it feels like the ground, a lot of ground has been taken, and a lot of traction and momentum are happening, and it really all flows out of relationship. Yeah, totally.
That's cool. I think as those melodies were gifted to us, and as we started to write on them, I think we started playing in church, and I loved that idea that we were able to play and start working on demos and start working on music that would, I guess, wrap the melodies that we'd been gifted into something, so we could start playing them in church and serve our people.
We even trialed them a lot in prayer meetings.
Which
worked really well. That worked really well. Just
still trialing in prayer meetings. And so I remember, starting to demo and starting to get some recording gear and starting to work on those ideas and those songs and that music. And the songs, I guess, found their own voice in our church. And I remember finding that very, amazing to see that, songs and melodies that we'd worked on in our church being played. They didn't have it in their homes. They didn't have it anywhere but, just what they can remember from the weekend, like Strongest Place, Shona's Place, strange names that people had for songs. And then so from there, I remember when we started to say, okay, well, this could be an album. So we had about 6 or so demos, I would probably say. I remember we started working on synth parts, guitar parts, and we were like, I think we've got could be an album, right? Big audacious sound and something ridiculous. And, so once we, officiated the fact that we were going to do an album, started working on pre-production. So I was able to be part of that in terms of in my bedroom or at our various studios. We started to work on parts. So Brad came over and we tracked drums, or I went up to Andrew's and we were working on synth parts till very late, and Catherine, I remember
cooked,
fed me.
Make sure you eat.
Make sure I ate, and then I remember Adrian, our producer, would come over a lot, and he would listen through things and see how we're doing. I guess because the production approach that we felt, and the reason why it was so special was because when we play together, something cool happens, and we wanted that feeling to be on the record, as part of the record. We wanted to track as much as we could live, so that meant we had to be ready and demo as much as we could.
Had to have the chops.
Yeah, that's right. I remember the parts of the Benny, you had all the hard parts, and you're trying to play them, and it's let's work that out. So I don't know, what was that process like for you guys?
That was probably a point where it matured into something. All your creativity's been focused, and then you start to be free in it, and you're hearing sounds come to you, and it matured.
That's right.
There was a point where it came and it turned, and it was it's on its way.
Technically it helped us get better and better, but I still loved that we kept the authenticity of relationship. We did it around family meals, and we did it when we were hanging out with each other, and so it wasn't separate from that. It was a flow on. And I think that if there are teams out there that are thinking of songwriting for their church, we'll talk about that whole process, but really realizing that the best stuff, the best songs that really shape your church come out of your relationship with one another.
I loved how the songs continued to evolve with the writing of them. Every demo we put down, if in the next week you tried it in church again where it only existed in church and you found a new spirit moment, then that would be the new part. And then every like new encounter, like spirit moment led to a new part, and then even in the actual studio, still new parts kept emerging as you pushed.
Yes, and actually on that, most of our bridges were written out of a spontaneous moment in worship in church.
Yeah, that's right.
Like heaps of them. We'd have a really special Sunday, I mean, every Sunday morning.
Of course.
But we'd have like one of those. Somebody could give or take. We all have those. Like, we're just going to forget that ever happened. Close our eyes and hang on.
Yes, right.
But there were some ones where we would have this moment and it just felt like open heaven, and we would kind of write out of that. And a lot of our bridges come from a spontaneous moment of worship.
I think a lot of the way, and like, so out of all of that, that feels very comfortable for us, you know, in our homes and in our church. I think the part that is always a difficult gap to cross is the whole idea of turning it into an album or turning it into recorded music that is perpetual in time, you know, like it's continuous and it's always there. Like that mistake will forever be there. And you're like, no. So I think that gap to cross was, so we booked a studio, and we were Grove Studios, and we were like, okay, we've got this date, and I guess we were working towards it, doing our best to prep, right? Like figuring out how we were going to create those live moments without breaking ourselves. I don't know, like.
I guess pretty real.
Yeah.
Bradley, you've got like 20s.
Yeah.
3 under 3 or something.
Yeah, it was a bit of a challenge.
3 twins, 6.
No.
That's not a prophecy.
No, it's good. When the demos came, I suppose that was the time for me to nail down and really put aside some time to practice, and that is a challenge with a family and a job working full time. But yeah, that was good.
You took those on,
You changed positions right before we went to record, didn't you? Something like that.
Yeah,
like,
it was pretty hectic.
It was hectic. But like, I always think drums have breakthrough and war on them. Like, and you kind of like really set the bar in some ways. Everyone brought it, but you came and you just went for it. And I felt like all of us lift and go, Bradley's gone there. Yeah. Let's go there. Like it was really cool. You really set something up for me.
Totally.
Yeah. Totally.
I loved how it was like all the parts that we were working on. We're like, maybe we could try this. Like the Lift My Eyes drum part was decently challenging, or alter, and you're always just like, all right, yep, okay. And it's really your face those times. I was like, you reckon you could do it? And he's like, yep,
I'm gonna
give it a go. And then sure enough, he'd come back and it'd be better. And I'm like, oh, like, you know, I remember all of us getting excited when we were working on it, like with Aaron, and it's fantastic.
We did an EP last year. That feels like forever ago.
Oh my goodness. Was that 2012?
Really? Wasn't it year?
2015.
No, it was last
year.
We
recorded it in 2014.
Okay. Yeah, but it was all March, and it was all in pieces and stuff like that. This album, we really wanted to kind of do it our style. We wanted 10 days somewhere. 4 of them we really just bunkered down, and some of us didn't leave the Grove at all. And we created our vibe, which was a family vibe, and doing it together, and an atmosphere of worship, which was really, really cool. We my husband Rye, we came in together and we anointed the Grove and prayed over it and just welcomed the presence of God, because we didn't want to just push through and do a good job. We wanted to actually include people in on a worship experience, really, and you have to go there to be able to do that. Can't forge that type of thing. So we just went there and kind of bunkered down into the vortex of the Grove, didn't we? And like didn't emerge for a couple of days. You're like, what day is it even? But it really made a difference, I think, to the sound, and we created a bit of a family vibe at the same time, though, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, and because some stayed the whole time, and some came and went back to work and back to families and all that sort of thing. My thing was, musicians aren't the best at eating well, and so I like to feed people. So I came at the beginning cleaning and, made sure that the cupboards were stocked and all that sort of thing. And I remember our first meal, I'm in this kitchen that I don't really even understand.
Muso's kitchen.
Yeah, Muso's kitchen. It's really not that attractive or clean. But we had roast lamb that night, and we just ate well, so that as a family we sat around together and really sort of hugged, not hugged but in a literal sense, but really sort of came close over the food. And I think hopefully you tell me that set you up well for the week going to
it absolutely did. It absolutely did. It set the whole thing up. I feel like we arrived and we thanked Jesus. We ate and we thanked Jesus. We played and we thanked Jesus, and we just kept going in that. And you did even for me, I'm I'm the only girl here sometimes, and I'm not feeding y'all. I'm doing my thing. You totally had my back. But I remember even the sound engineer who's totally part of our squad now. He was this is the coolest ever. You guys have created something that I've never felt here before, and food does that.
Yes, it really does.
Hanging out.
But genuine relationship does that.
It's relationship,
really authentic and genuine relationship. Food's helpful, but there's more than that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, while we were working on the songs and while we were kind of learning and getting to know the songs a little bit more, we started to realise that we couldn't just multi-track the record. We felt that it needed Brad's heartbeat on it, that train thing. It needed Aaron Matahan, the bass player, to be one together. It needed all of us to kind of feel like we were all playing together. And I guess as an old school, it's actually not new at all. It's probably new for today, but probably more the way records were once made. But we actually tracked probably about 90% or 80% of the record live. Live. I mean, vocals were always overdubbed.
But
always
they were
side
side by side.
So it still had this live element to it. And so I think those first 4 days kind of bedded about 60% of the record or 70% of the record was done in single takes. Lift My Eyes was a few overdubs, that. That's us playing, and it means you have to really concentrate and really give your all and give yourself in that moment. And it takes a lot of energy, and you can't rely on auto tunes and things like that. But we just felt to do it, and we did it. The record sounds good and sounds doesn't necessarily sound like it's lower production quality because of that.
I think so. I think it gave it a lasting power as well, because we wrote it all spiritually and in the moment. You couldn't record it outside of that, because then it became clinical. How do you capture those spirit moments forever? Really so to actually record it from a spirit moment is how we kind of kept that solid.
It honoured the songs and how they were written.
It honoured the process.
Which is really cool, isn't it?
I remember listening back to the bed of the Lift My Eyes guitar with Jackson, and we're all sitting there, and he soloed it out, and he's listening to it, and he's like, because we were thinking about overdubbing it, and we were listening to it going, why would we overdub that? Because it was literally the first take, and it was like bits of it were messy, but it was just why would we ruin that magic? Because there was so much magic. And I mean, I hope that encourages any worship team at least to tracking records. Don't be afraid of pushing yourself and being a little bit nervous or being a little bit scared and stepping out a little bit and putting your heart on the line and letting that be a thing. And I guess trusting your team and being there for each other to do that.
We had to trust each other, and I think that's really cool and unique too. And that's why I brought up the whole relational side of things, because when you're recording, if there's not that appropriate honesty, if you can't stop and go, right, we need to redo this, or we just need more Jesus now, or that sound isn't quite right, let's do that again. If we didn't have the relationship for that, then we'd be skirting around each other, and there wasn't that atmosphere at all, which is really cool and unique. But I loved that you put a stack of thought into the sound leading up to the whole thing, and even while we're at the Grove, you were creating all over the place.
With that trust comes a freedom, I guess, and we felt free to go where God led us, I guess. And for me, sitting with my headphones on.
Wait. We locked Andrew away, or Andrew locked himself away for about 4 days.
He chose it.
He chose to, and he just come back with a USB, and we're like, what's on it this time? What's happening?
Forever known as Brian Eno now, right?
But that there was that freedom to try, create, and a no pressure then to actually try a few things. in the moment, on the spot, and get things wrong, but then come with an end product that you're happy with. And most of the things that I try to bring out is just harmony, melodic harmonies, you know, in the guitars and in the keyboard. It's not hard. I'm definitely not a good musician when it comes to guitars and synths. But you just do the simple things and you create sonic, you know, ways that blend and work and I like the idea of breaking things open. Often when I'm MDing and stuff, I tell the team, okay, let's crack it open now. And there's sounds and stuff that do that. Being live on the floor was part of that too. You know, the song of Breakthrough. When we were able to just go, look, let's just see where it heads.
Yes.
And
good one.
Stuff comes out on the spot, spontaneous. God gives us lines and.
Well, that became covered, right?
Yeah. So,
well, that moment's cool to bring up because that kind of wasn't a premeditated thing. Like Adrian felt like we should sit in that song, and we all felt it. And you guys went there, and it shifted from playing the song prophetically to prophesying something because you did new sounds and you played in different ways. And then I remember feeling nauseous because I'm like, I need to bring it now too. And one of my sons was there, Jens was there, and he's like, hey mum, and I'm like, don't even touch me. The Lord is downloading something.
And your happy place.
My happy place is never happy though, it's tortured. And so we did that song, we did it live and spontaneous, and we captured it. And I think that has, we didn't know what this year would hold for our church and the people that we love so much. And I think out of a lot of the songs, that part, people have sung over their worlds, no, you've got us covered, you've got it all, the sovereignty of God at play for the people that we love. I've sung that over my life multiple times. So to be used like that, and sounds and pushing into creativity, sounds release that type of thing. And I feel like we tried to be brave enough to go there and honour that. Bella, you're a part of the band, 110%, but you're also ridiculously clever at many things. Thanks. Don't think you at all. Not jealous in the slightest. But you were in the studio with us, listening as we were recording, and you kind of had this really cool moment. It's not something that you've had crazy amounts of times, but you kind of saw something gritty in the spirit, something really really sincere, and took you by surprise.
Yeah, it was really cool. We were all sitting around the table discussing the album artwork, because I think the album artwork represents the music in such a powerful way. And we were talking about trends, and we were talking about gold and all these things that were on our heart, and then we sat down to listen to the album on the night at the end of the recording. And I had this really clear vision of red dirt, and I was like, what? This doesn't even make any sense.
Red's not even on trend.
Orange. Orange. I was actually nervous to bring it to you guys, and I was like, but this is just what I see, because it was a really real album experience for me, I think. And if you listen to the tracks, I really, really believe that people deal with real stuff. And same with the covered thing, I think people speak that over their life, and so it's really important. And so we went on an adventure to find red dirt, and
you said it to them
finding Bradley's country people.
Tell me a story about it.
We had to go and find red dirt. It was this weird
We're in
thing.
Newcastle.
Yeah,
So
we're in
it's
Newcastle.
There's no red dirt.
And so we didn't have the budget to go to Uluru or anything like that. So
the next best thing.
We literally the following weekend got in the car and headed to Dubbo, and then drove. Nothing wrong with Dubbo. No, there's no red dirt in Dubbo either. We had to keep going on the way to Burke. So, and the boys were like, well, what are we looking for? And I was like, I don't really know. I just know I'll know when I see it. And
cool.
Yeah, and then when we found this no joke, it wasn't even this perfect field. It was literally just this little
slab.
On the side of the road. And we were just playing with the dust, and so the photo on the album cover is it's a legit photo. There's no editing. There's no all the elements of the album are all it's all handwritten or it's all come from. It's that real thing, which I think complements where the music's come from.
You carry the heart of it, and so the purity of the album just flowed straight through you into the artwork. That's very cool.
It was a beautiful. I still don't know if I'm fully behind orange. I love the cover, and I think it's right. I think it is ahead. I think it's right for what the music is, and I think we got there in the end, which is really cool. So
I love that real thing you were talking about, like, and it, like in terms of the response, like I love the fact that people have felt all of that, like without knowing any of the story of it, or without knowing any of the stuff behind the lyric. Or behind anything lyrics, they were able to feel and understand what that meant to them, you know, and that to me was the success. I was like, the fact that someone was able to listen to it and be like, I can feel that I will be able to deal with something in this, or I'll be able to come closer to the Father, or I'll be able to understand a little bit more about Jesus, or you know, I'll be able to push back some darkness, you know.
It's that strongest place thing. It's back on your knees again, but it's not that weak. It's not like, you know, I'm weak on my knees, but yet I'm strong, and you're in the really dirt dealing with what's real. And I think the most beautiful thing about the way the songs have been written, from my perspective, is that I can see, and the way they've been played, is that I can see how you guys go through real life stuff, and you're not this unattainable rock star band, but yet the people who hear that music have that same experience, and I think the artwork is exactly the same in that sense too. So it's all relatable, I think.
Yeah, that's really beautiful.
Comes back to that real thing, hey?
P.S. You didn't have to go as far as you went.
No.
Dubbo does have red dirt.
It does.
My nephews have red stained shoes all the time.
It's not the right red. Don't you know?
We're driving along, and Michael and I are like, oh, maybe soon. and then Bella's just like, there!
No, Dubbo didn't have it, Wellington didn't have it.
About the feel.
Burke had it. Burke was it, and then we drove 9 hours home.
That's the coolest.
The shot's fun.
That's the coolest.
Isn't it beautiful?
We've been worshipping for like a decade together.
That's
and
crazy.
always dreaming of doing something, like not just, and it's not just, but serving, you know, our people and stuff like that, and not playing songs that other people have written. There's nothing wrong with that, but I felt like we all had like a niggle that there was more, and that it would open up more. And I got interviewed on a program that goes on radio stations recently, and it will remain nameless. And at the very end, the man, I felt more like he was interrogating me, really. At the very end, the man was like, so you're a little bit late to the party, like why now are you guys writing music? And I got my sass on.
Yeah, you did.
And I was like, you know, we're not late at all, actually. It's perfect timing. I feel like we have something to say. And I think it takes maturity to honour that. It's not about the sexiness of saying that we have an album, not at all, because there is sacrifice. And we probably have never all shared together, really, like the personal sacrifice we've had to have of putting things aside, of constant prioritising, of the question of going, are we even good enough? I think we all asked ourselves that, and all wrestled in the night with going,
can we do it?
Like in the context of our church, people love us, but are we actually even going to bless anyone? Is this just is this just, you know, us putting ourselves out there and it not actually bringing the kingdom closer? And we wanted to be real about that. We didn't want to fool ourselves or anyone else. And so there was a lot of sacrifice, I'd say, that went into it that we haven't even, because it's a labour of love. Just do it. But I feel like we've got something to say now, and I think we've said it. And my kind of final thing that I would want to add is I count it as all worth it because it ministers to him, it ministers to God. That's my absolute priority. I know it's yours, to bring him closer, but to make him happy, you know, get his heart, and also to create something. Like, I'm not in the realm yet of thinking of legacy. It's kind of not where I'm at in life quite yet, but I really feel like this isn't about us. This is about our kids.
That's right.
And this is about other people's kids, and the next generation that, and I said greenhouse before, but it's like a greenhouse. It's like an incubator that they can grow up in and believe that they can dream and they can do something. We get texts and messages all the time saying my child will not turn this CD off. You know, they know every, like, what does Manny sing, your daughter? No one likes me.
No one likes me. There's no one beside me. Close enough is good enough.
But I think that's so cool. Like, kids have this amazing confidence in what they like and what they don't like, and they're so open to it, and they just go, this is the song I like, and this is the song I want to learn, and this is the song that I want to play all the time. Whereas adults, I think, are so much slower to come to the party in terms of choosing favourites and choosing and getting behind something like that. And so when you see it in the kids, like even down to the littles who are like 2 and they know all the words, and you just go, I love that this is seeping into you.
That's
and you know, it's lifting you up and taking you further.
Yeah,
it's really cool, hey?
Yeah, like your little babies.
I know. I just think, like, the first music she'll hear will be music you guys have written. And to me, like, that's so powerful.
That's right.
Pregnancy hormones. But yeah, I think that's really cool. They're all learning music, and it's really good.
Let alone, you know, from our point of view, like our son was one of the musicians, and like that was just so exciting to think that. I remember you coming in and going, Bailey is in a studio. How cool is that? Not everyone gets this opportunity. And it was like
17.
And he would leave school and jump in his car and drive down just to be there. Always when he actually needed to be playing. And you know, and Jonty would come, and they would just love to be there.
I love that.
How many 17-year-olds can say that they've played on an album?
It's awesome.
Professional studio.
And it was so much more than just about him being able to drum. You know,
there was
that getting that understanding of this was more than that. This was about God and about bringing a sound for our people, but to honour Him, to honour God.
Yes.
Play with his mum.
I really feel that. Yeah, that's right. I really feel that we did have to go against the grain and push against the tide, because I think that, you know, if you're in the same context you've been for ages, we've been in the same town, hanging out with the same people, and we can peg each other real fast, and especially over a long period of time, and then to all of a sudden kind of rise up and go, we have something to say, in humility about confidence, and we're not going to be backward about that, but we're going to put it out there. I think that that's more difficult, and that's why I think of the children, because they're quick to go, that's cool, God's on that, whereas sometimes we as adults go, ooh, hey, you know, come back to where I'm comfortable with you being.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, they're so clear and confident.
It takes like an intense amount of courage from a lot of people together to I know for me, and I know for each one of us, like, it's courage to sacrifice. It's courage to actually do something new, and it's courage to step out or take time. So it's like, it's week in, week out courage and helping each other kind of pull yourself through that. But
and yet such grace on it.
Totally. Well, that's trusting God, right? Like, He says, hey, I want you to do this, and you're like,
And you can see, like, I mean, I didn't sing on the album or anything, but I could see the sacrifice that each of you guys made to just be there for that week. Like, I don't think we didn't speak that whole week, and just like seeing, like, people lay down careers and lay down school and family and that kind of thing to come together to do something that doesn't really make sense. And that's just so powerful, I think. And like you say, that grace is just so strong in that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, totally. We all live for this.
It's a privilege.
Absolutely.
That's such a privilege.
That's the whole thing.
To be able to play, to be a musician, play music. You know, for our God.
Like, what else? Week in, week out. What else is there?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the part where, like, as musicians, creatives, as people who love Jesus, we're ruined, like, in that way. And that's it. Like, people think, there is heaps of war in it. Don't get me wrong. We don't need to even talk about that. But like, people probably don't realise how much we deeply love it.
Totally.
No, but we love this. We just want to sing.
Much fun. Just let me sing.
Let's do another one.
And again. And for us, I think, you know, we've got to do the routines and the drill, and we're going to be responsible adults, people. But when we're able to go into that vortex of time and like, I was like, oops, I was probably created for this type of hermit, living. Time doesn't exist, space only does. I'll eat when I feel like it. I'll sleep if I feel like it. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's good.
It's awesome.
Where to from here? We feel like, God willing, this will just continue to grow, because our heart is to bless people and to release melodies and songs, because songs change us, so it changes everything. So we want to continue doing this as long as we're never going to force it, but as long as God graces us to.
Right.
And we're ministering actually quite a lot in other churches, which is something that was spoken over my husband and myself, that we would go out and bless other churches. So that makes us really happy, all of us, being on other platforms where we get to love people and sing over them. Some of them are songs, some of them other people's songs. So the next project that we'd love to kind of launch out into is kind of like a Strongest Place 0.20, like a next Strongest Place, where we actually do a full instrumental album in a really unique way, kind of live again. We'll have something like that where we create. But the heart behind that is we would have very purposeful music that people can play again in their homes when they're praying, when they're reading the Bible, something that's sitting there and creating an atmosphere over them, but they can get lost in what they're actually doing. So, absolutely. Yeah, cool.
Thank you for watching / listening about our conversation about this record. It meant a lot to us, and if you haven't heard the record yet, you should definitely go and have a listen on any music platform. Go buy the record from a Kurong store or somewhere, and check out our website, c3nc.com/music, or c3ncmusic.com as well if you want charts or want to say hello, all those kind of things. We love you a lot, whoever you are.
Thank you.
We did this for you.
People.
Come on, people, back me up.
Auf Wiedersehen.